Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is January 24th, 2024, and it's reported that the Committee of Referees, or the CTA as it's known by its Spanish initials, are currently analyzing whether to file a legal complaint against Jan Laporta for his statements. Also, Djurgårdens are currently pressuring Lucas Bergvall to accept other offers. And finally, Barcelona have signed a new player during this winter transfer market, and I will tell you who that player is. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and this is Barca News' official podcast, which is on every Mondays and Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today, we're starting a little bit late because I just did the post-match live analysis after the match ended between Barcelona and Athletic Club, with Barcelona being eliminated from the Copa del Rey. If you haven't checked out that post-match live analysis yet, make sure you do. Now, as always, during this podcast, I will give you a bit of news, and then I'll interact with all of you through the chat section by reading your comments out loud, answering any questions, and getting a discussion going. Now, for those of you who will be watching the podcast once it ends, I will be putting timestamps in the description and chapters in the timeline so you can skip through the discussion if that's what you wish to do. Having said all of that, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment. And let's dive right into the news, because it is reported that the CTA, or the Committee of Referees, are currently analyzing whether they can file a legal complaint against the Barcelona president, Jan Laporta. And as we've been talking about these past few days, there was a huge heist and robbery committed by Real Madrid in broad daylight against Almeria, with three incredibly wrong VAR calls that gave Real Madrid 2 goals and took away a perfectly legal goal away from Almeria. And also there were the VAR audios that were leaked, which showed that the VAR referee Hernandez clearly saw Vinicius Jr. elbow Pozo in the face, and despite that decided to ignore it. And obviously that's been a scandal that has shook not just Spain but the whole world, with all these VAR leaks and the VAR calls circulating the entire world. And as a result, Jan Laporta did speak out about this, saying that something needs to be done, that he had spoken to the president of the Royal Spanish Football Federation, and that he also thought that the competition was adulterated, and that he believed that the VAR had been hijacked by Real Madrid, thanks to the Real Madrid TV documentaries that they keep publicizing, where they keep singling out referees, putting pressure on referees, and then, of course, causing them to rule in favor of Real Madrid. Now, I spoke about Laporta's statements in yesterday's video, so if you want to know what he exactly said, make sure you check out the video. But anyways, after those statements, the Committee of Referee are now looking whether they can file legal charges against Jan Laporta. Now, the Committee of Referees have reportedly forwarded Jan Laporta's statements to their legal department. So now it's being analyzed by the CTA's attorneys to see whether there's a legal case. If they decide that, yes, there is a legal case, they will forward then that case to the integrity department or integrity committee, whatever the hell it's called. And they could then forward the case to the committee of the disciplinary committee, which could then in turn suspend Jan Laporta for his words. Now, this only adds more fuel to the controversy. This only makes it even a bigger scandal, because here we have the CTA, who, by the way, have not said anything since the VAR scandal and since the VAR audio leaks. They haven't said absolutely nothing. And instead of being worried about what happened in that match between Real Madrid and Almeria, just trying to figure out why was Real Madrid given 3 free calls, why did the Hernandez referee not call the referee on the field and tell him to give a red card to Vinicius, instead of investigating that, they're more worried about Jan Laporta criticizing them. Yet week after week, Real Madrid TV keep posting video after video, calling out referees, criticizing referees, saying that referees are constantly ruling against them and favoring other clubs against them. and yet Laporta criticizes the referees, and all of a sudden they want to sanction him. I've said this before. Valencia, Soler criticized the refs, 4-match ban. Now they're trying to ban Laporta. But again, Real Madrid can do this week after week through the Real Madrid TV, but absolutely no sanctions, which only goes to show how incompetent this body is and how much they favor Real Madrid. And honestly, they're not doing themselves any favors, because here's Laporta saying that the VAR has been hijacked by the videos that Real Madrid TV keep publicizing. And what does the CTA do? Instead of going after Real Madrid TV, who's giving them the bad reputation, they go after Laporta, who's defending them, who's saying that their referees are feeling pressure because of Real Madrid TV. So Laporta is calling out what Real Madrid is doing to the CTA, and instead of punishing the person who's doing the harm to them, they punish the person who's defending them and who's criticizing the person who's doing harm to them. So absolute fiasco, absolute circus, total disgrace. I'm not surprised at this point. What else can you expect from this body of incompetent people who are in charge of Spanish refereeing? By the way, before we head to the chat section, I do want to say shout out to all the Real Madrid fans who watched my video yesterday about the VAR leaks and were commenting on it. Thank you, because first of all, watching you melt down in the comment section was absolutely hilarious. So thank you for the free entertainment. Second of all, what a lot of these Madridistas don't realize is when you comment on a video, that video's engagement goes up. The higher the engagement, the more YouTube recommends the video to other people. So thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for your views, your comments. Please come back. Please keep doing it. This only helps this channel to grow. And like I said, free entertainment, because watching you guys melt down in the comment section was an absolute hoot. Anyways, let's get back to, or let's start with the chat section. I know we just did a live stream. I feel like, I've been doing this for hours, but not really. But let's start with the chat section, and then we will talk about Lucas Bergvall, because I know a lot of you guys have been asking me about him. So finally, I do have a news update. And Yoseb says, now, why is the club pressuring him to join other clubs? Hope he makes the right choice and chooses Barca. I will talk about that, so I won't say anything else. And my man Klaus, wow, you are up late, my friend. It's 8 p.m. here. So I'm guessing in the UK it's 8 plus 6, 14, 2 a.m. Says Thiago Motta as a replacement for Xabi in the summer. He's a good option. It's reported that supposedly he is on the list of possible coaches that Barcelona have considered. So why not? I mean, if he has shown that he can take a project full of youngsters and build it into something. He's also shown that he is not afraid of getting rid of, the big veterans, the stars, the guys that rule the locker room. He's not afraid of getting rid of those either. So maybe that's what we need, someone who can come into the locker room and, get rid of the people that need to go, and then take the young players and shape them into something cohesive versus what we saw today in the match against Athletic Club de Bilbao. Curtis says they are not dealing with the bad refereeing, but want to attack anyone who says something. Mo, they are not incompetent. They are very competent. They are just dishonest and are bullies. Agree. It's another way to see it. Again, they're more concerned about Gerard Romero, how he got the audios. They're concerned about Laporta because he criticized. You're talking about a 12-match ban against the Almeria player who, when the match ended, said on the mics that they had been robbed. A 12-match ban. Again, they're more worried about being criticized and being caught red-handed than worried about what actually happened. And it's an absolute disgrace. It's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for them. These people are bottom of the barrel alongside the Real Madrid TV people, because, by the way, Real Madrid TV published another video saying that Real Madrid were ruled against unfairly in the Almeria match 18 times. These people have the nerve. They completely robbed Almeria, and the whole world saw it. And then they published a video saying that Real Madrid were actually ruled, that the referee ruled against them 18 times unfairly. These people are bottom of the barrel. These people have no scruples. These people have no shame. My God. Anyways, let's get back to the news because we have to talk about Lucas Bergvall, because it's reported that his club, Djurgårdens, are currently pressuring the player to accept other offers. Now, Barcelona, of course, are trying to sign Lucas Bergvall. Bergvall has said that he only wants to go to Barcelona, and Djurgårdens had said that they were going to respect the player's wishes and negotiate with Barcelona. Barcelona did make a 6 million euro offer for the player. Now, Lucas Bergvall has plenty of clubs interested in him. Djurgårdens have received plenty of offers from other clubs, including Inter Milan, Udinese, Bayern Munich, Juventus, Manchester United, and even Eintracht Frankfurt. And it's reported that Djurgårdens are trying to pressure Lucas Bergvall to accept any offer from other clubs. But more specifically, they're trying to put pressure on him to accept the offer from Eintracht Frankfurt, because the German club has upped their offer to 10 million euros, which is, of course, 4 million euros more than Barcelona's offer. Now, the player is reportedly staying put. He's digging his heels in. He's saying, I want to go to Barcelona and Barcelona only. So this is, of course, good for us, because as long as Lucas Bergvall can withstand the pressure from Djurgårdens, then he will most likely sign for Barcelona, because Djurgårdens cannot force him to go anywhere. And if he only says he wants to go to Barcelona, then Djurgårdens will be forced to accept Barcelona's 6 million euro offer. And we hopefully will see the player arrive in Blaugrana club. Now, Lucas Bergvall is a summer signing. Barcelona are planning to sign him for the summer, because right now, since we have yet to activate the economic lever, we have yet to receive those 40 million euros from Barca Vision, we cannot register anyone. So once, or if Barcelona complete the signing, Lucas Bergvall is not going to arrive in the winter. He would arrive in summer. Anyways, let's get back to the chat section, and we'll do a few more comments, and then we will talk about Barcelona's newest signing. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a new signing, believe it or not. Klaus says, thank you, Madrid idiots. I want the channel to grow. Yes, thank you, guys. Please keep watching my videos, keep liking, keep commenting. Well, they're not liking it, but they are commenting, but the comments help too. So yes, please. Art B says, Mo, do you think Xabi will be out if we lose to Napoli? I don't think he'll be out mid-season. I think if we lose to Napoli, for sure, probably Laporta's going to say, okay, he's done. But I think they'll probably wait until the end of the season, and most likely they'll probably just have him resign versus sacking him, just because, out of respect, which they should. Xabi is a legend after all. He did give us, a six-tuple and a treble. One of the best players, if not one of the best players in the history of the club. So, but I think so. Unless he somehow pulls a miracle and wins La Liga, then maybe Laporta would be on the fence. But I don't see us winning anything, to be honest. So, yeah. Augustine says, I believe that Barca don't have the players they need yet, because Gavi's absence is seriously eating up Barca. Look, no matter what players we have, the results are going to be the same. Because right now we have absolutely no structure. We have no strategy in place. We have no system of play. We have no identity. So it doesn't matter who we sign. The results are going to be the same. Maybe a little better. Maybe we score a few more goals. Maybe we win a few more matches here and there. Maybe we end up with more points at the end of the season. But the result is going to be the same, because there is no structure. So these players are out there on the field with no idea what to do. They're just looking at each other like, what do I do? Who do I pass it to? I'll pass it to you. The other guy, I'll pass it to you. And they're just back and forth, because they have no idea what to do. And that has to do 100% with coaching. So even if you brought in more players, those players are going to be just as lost as the ones that we have now. So it's not about the players. It's about the fact that we have no identity or system of play in place. Anyways, let's talk about Barcelona's new signing, because Barcelona have signed this guy who you probably never heard of. I sure haven't. His name is Naim Garcia. He is a 21-year-old winger. He came up through the Real Madrid Academy. And then in 2016, he joined Leganés. He's been at Leganés ever since. So for the past, 8 years, he's been at Leganés. He is a left-footed winger, but he plays on the right wing, or he prefers to play on the right wing. He does play on the left wing sometimes, but he mostly plays on the right wing despite being left-footed. He's described as a very fast swinger, someone who can really win 1v1s, who can dribble past defenders, kind of like a Lamine Yamal profile, but obviously not as good. Nobody is. But Naim Garcia, 21 years old, and Barcelona just signed him on loan for the remainder of the season to reinforce Barca Athletic. They're hoping in this guy could reignite Barca Athletic's attack. They've been kind of sluggish in the third division. Yes, we have Pau Victor, who has been doing really well, scoring goals, but they needed more fire on the wings, and they have just brought in Naim Garcia from Leganés, strictly pure loan until the end of the season. But it is reported that depending on his performance, Barcelona could consider signing him on a permanent basis in the summer, kind of like Pau Victor. We brought him in on just on a loan for the whole season, and now Barcelona have decided to activate his loan, his clause worth, I think it's 3 million euros. So they will sign Pau Victor on a permanent basis. The same can happen with Naim Garcia. If he does well during the season, Barcelona could sign him on a permanent basis for Barca Athletic. Anyways, let's get back to the comment or the chat section, and then we do have to talk about the Joaos because we do have some news about both Joao Felix and Joao Cancelo. Partik says, just joined in. I didn't understand the title. If you're talking about the CTA file in charge against Laporta, that was at the beginning of the video. So just watch it when it ends. I don't want to repeat myself for the people who were here already. David says the only way to stop Real Madrid, honestly, is for UEFA to have a cater of referees to oversee the top 5 leagues. I don't know if UEFA would be the best body to do it. Maybe an independent body, just because I don't trust UEFA, to be honest. But I don't know how much power can an external body have, because at the end of the day, you're also interfering with the sovereignty of nations, right? I'm not sure. I'm not too clear about how that would work legally speaking, because we can't just say, oh, just bring in somebody and it's a lot more complicated by that. You have to still work within the governmental structure that La Liga is, which is within the government of Spain, which is within the government of the EU. So there's multi-layers to this. So it's not as easy as just having, bringing in a body and just oversee it. I imagine they would have to agree to it. Anyways, KF says, bro, Real have cheated for most of their history in both league and Champions League. About Bergvall, my uncle Leif is friends with his father. All right, please tell your uncle Leif to tell his father to hang in there and not let Djurgårdens pressure him. By the way, Leif, I feel like that's the most Swedish name ever. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I feel like every character I've ever seen in like Viking movies or TV shows, there's always a Leif. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. You let me know. All right, one more, and we'll talk about the Joaos. Touch me, Sama. Why that name, my friend? Why do you want people to touch you? That's just weird. Anyways, he says, I'm only frustrated, not mad. Had Yamal scored, everyone would be singing praises. Now we default to Xavi out. Really? You really think that? If Yamal would have scored, I would have still told you Xavi out. Because today's match was an absolute pathetic match to watch. Again, there might be people out there who are all about the results, and when Barca win, they say Xavi in, and when Barca lose, they say Xavi out. But I've been clear from the beginning, I don't care about results. If I only cared about results, then I wouldn't bother watching. I mean, I'm pretty busy, and matches take 90 minutes, 2 hours once you take into consideration halftime and everything. And if they go to extra time, now you're talking about 3 hours of your day. So if I only cared about results, I wouldn't bother watching. I would do something more productive with my time, and I would just Google the result once the match was over. But it's more about results. It's more about also the performance of how did the team achieve that result. Did they absolutely dominate, impose themselves, created chances, scored goals? Or was it they barely scraped by and they won 1-0 with some lucky shot or some individuality, right? So for this whole season, the team has been absolutely disastrous, even when we've won. And you can go back and watch my live streams, and there have been plenty of matches where we won, and I sat here and talked about how terrible the team was. And there was maybe 1 or 2 matches last season where we actually lost, and I got on camera and said, that was a great performance. I'm happy with what I saw. Because again, I don't care about the result, I care about the performance. And if you think that had Xabi won, we would be saying that Xabi should continue, then you're not paying attention, my friend. Because it's not about whether Barcelona are winning or losing, it's about how the team is completely fractured. There's no structure, there's no identity, there's no system of play. These players are completely clueless on the field. And the reason they are clueless on the field is because Xabi is completely clueless as a coach, and he cannot give them a system of play where they can flourish in. He cannot give them a structure where they know what to do. He's not giving them an identity where they can play as a cohesive unit. He's not doing any of that. And that's why the team is not performing. And that's why I've been saying Xabi out for the past 2 months. Not because we lose here or there. If that's what you think, like I said, you're not paying attention. And you need to pay better attention, because it's not about the results. It's about how horrible the team has been playing, even when we've won. We've had some pretty horrible matches. The match against Real Sociedad, we won, and that was an absolute disaster. And I said it. That match was pathetic to watch, and we won. So pay better attention and don't try to put words in my mouth. Anyways, let's get back to the news, because we do have to talk about both João Felix and João Cancelo, because they're both represented by the same guy, Jorge Mendes, the super Asian. He represents all the big stars, and he was just in the city of Barcelona, and he did speak to the media, and he said that Barcelona are currently working on signing both players, that Barcelona have made a decision to sign both players, and that they are, in the process of doing it. 2 things I want to say. First of all, I don't like these kind of statements by agents, because first of all, it can only look to anger their owning clubs like Manchester City and Atletico Madrid, and then they can complicate things for Barcelona at the end. And I also don't like these kind of statements by the agents, because it's too early. The season is long. It's too early to decide on whether Barcelona should be signing or not. I hope he's only saying that just to put pressure on Barcelona, and that it's not true. Because if it is true, then we are in deep, deep trouble. And I said this in the post-match live analysis, but when it comes to João Felix, right now we're in good position, because the guy is not performing. He's incredibly inconsistent. He gives you 5 minutes of brilliance followed by 10 matches of nothing. Then another brilliant goal with another 10 matches of nothing. And right now we're in good position because he's on loan. And when a player is on loan and doesn't work out, no problem. At the end of the season, you send them packing. But when you buy a player, then you're in trouble, because the player now didn't work out. You just spend all that money and you're like, what do I do? I'm out of all this money. So why do we want to put ourselves into a bad position by signing João Felix on a permanent basis when he is not performing? Why we want to be in that position when we're like, crap, we should spend all this money and he's not performing? He's not performing. Just return him. What the hell is Barcelona thinking? So again, I really hope this statement by Jorge Mendes is only just a way to put more pressure on Barca, because if Barcelona are seriously thinking about João Felix, then I don't know what's going on in that board. João Cancelo, I think the jury is still out on him. I'm not saying return him, but I'm not saying sign him either. I think we need to wait until the end of the season. He's given us some pretty good displays. He's given us some good performances, but he's also given us some reasons to doubt him. A lot of lack of concentrations here and there, a lot of silly mistakes. There were matches where he couldn't stop losing the ball. So the jury is still out on João Cancelo. And I think we should wait until the end of the season before we make a decision to sign him, especially when we've already seen what Héctor Fort can do. And if we can have a player who cost us nothing, who is still young and has many, many years of career ahead of him, play in that position, why not? Why spend tens of millions of euros on a 29-year-old who's almost 30 when we can spend €0 on a 16-year-old who's going to give us another 14, 15 years of good football? Anyways, that's my opinion. Again, I really hope that his statements were just to put pressure on Barcelona because A, we shouldn't even contemplate signing Joao Felix, and B, we should at least wait until the end of the season before we make a decision on Joao Cancelo. Okay, let's see. Javed says, so when are we going to sack him, since when we have to respect the coach not to fire him now and wait until the end of the season? Like I said many times before, I think it's better if we wait until the end of the season. I'm not a fan of getting rid of coaches midway through the season. It only makes things worse. It throws everything into chaos. Plus, there's not really options midway through the season. There might be one or two coaches here and there available, but at the end of the season, you're going to have a lot more coaches. And I would prefer for Barcelona to wait for the right coach rather than, fire Xavi. Now, oh, crap, we need a coach. Who do we sign? And just sign whoever just because we need one and then prolong our misery. Let's just wait until the end of the season. There'll be a lot more options at the end of the season. And plus, at the end of the season, we have now more financial fair play. Right now, we have no financial fair play. So if we were to sign another coach, we can't because there's no financial fair play to register that coach's contract. So either way, our hands are tied, even if we wanted to sack him now. Plus, again, I said, it's a terrible idea to sack coaches midway through the season. David says, all Laporta has to do is chew gum and raise one eyebrow. Then he can say what he wants about the refs with no punishment. Or wear a Real Madrid jersey. I think if Laporta had said the same statement with a Real Madrid jersey, we would be having a different discussion. Igor says, Mo, you won't find any better lateral than Cancelo. That's not true. Don't get me wrong. He's incredibly talented, but he's like double-edged sword. He either gives you brilliant matches or he gives you a lot of pain in the back because defensively speaking, sometimes he is very, very lacking to where he does more harm than good. He also has a lot of lapses of concentration during matches that causes him to make some silly mistakes. There's a reason Guardiola didn't want him. There's a reason two coaches at Bayern Munich didn't want him, both Tuchel and Nagelsmann. So I wouldn't say he's the best out there. He's definitely incredibly talented, and he could have been the best, the number one, but I don't know what it is. Lack of concentration, attitude. I don't know what it is, but he never really reached that level. But he has what it takes to reach that level. But I haven't seen it at Barca yet. Anyways, let's see. All right, Johan says, why don't we change formations? We're tired of this two-back. We don't play with a two-back. We play with a line of four. The left back, the fullbacks always go up, but that has always been the case in Barcelona. So we're not playing with a line of two. We're playing with a line of four, with the fullbacks going up when the team attacks. That's always been the Barcelona way. Anyways. Okay, let's do the last bit of news, and then we'll do a few more comments, but we have to talk about Mason Greenwood, who's currently on loan from Manchester United to Getafe after the big scandal that he had, which I'm not going to get into because this is not a tabloid channel. This is a football channel. He's been doing pretty good. But now, English media are reporting that Mason Greenwood supposedly has instructed his agent to do whatever he can for Barcelona to sign him in an operation that would cost 46 million euros. Now, two things I want to say about this. First of all, I'm not too sure about this article being correct because it was published, I think it was The Sun or something like that, which is a tabloid in England. Maybe my friend Klaus can verify with me. So I've looked at before at their articles, and they're not the most reliable source of footballing news. But even if it is true, and Mason Greenwood did tell his agent that he wants to sign for Barca, there is no way in hell that Barcelona would pay 46 million euros for Greenwood. And even if they wanted to pay that much, there's no way that Barcelona could afford him. Were Barcelona tracking Mason Greenwood? Yes, they were. I talked about this in the previous video. I think it was a couple of months ago. Barcelona did track him. They were monitoring the situation, but that was about it. There was nothing else past that. So nothing there to report really. First of all, I don't believe the news coming out about Mason Greenwood. Second of all, even if it's true, Barcelona cannot afford the 46 million euros that the Mason Greenwood would cost. And like I said, besides that initial kind of like interest or curiosity that Barcelona had, it didn't really amount to anything. So Barcelona are not considering Mason Greenwood seriously, even if the news is true and even if Mason Greenwood does want to truly come to Barcelona. Now, I think it's important, and I see this a lot in the comment section, but I think it's important to distinguish between when a club is tracking a player versus when a club is interested in a player versus when a club has decided to sign a player versus when a club is in talks to sign a player. Because when I say, and I see this confusion a lot, when I say Barcelona is tracking player A, doesn't mean Barcelona want to sign him, doesn't mean Barcelona are interested in signing him, they're just tracking him. That means they're watching the player, they're seeing his performance, they're getting reports from the scouts to see whether he would be good for Barcelona or not. That's what tracking means. They're just watching him. That's all. Doesn't mean they would like him. They actually have no opinion over him. They're just tracking him to see how he does. And based on that, they can make a decision. Okay, yeah, he's good enough, and then he's not. If he is good enough for the club, then it moves to the next step, which is interest. It goes from tracking to interest. That means now the club have watched the player, they like what they see, and they would think he would be a good fit for the team. But that doesn't mean that they're trying to sign him either. It's just interest at this point. Like, for example, Barcelona could be interested in Mbappe or Haaland. Are they going to try to sign him? Of course not. It's impossible. Then from interest, it grows to actually wanting to sign. That's when the club decides, okay, we like the player, we're interested in him, and we actually believe we have a shot at signing him because we can afford him, whatever. So we want to sign him. And then it matures into the final stage, which is talks to sign him. That's when they reach out to the player and his entourage, reach out to the club, and they try to get negotiations going, which even at that stage, it still doesn't mean that Barcelona would sign that player because, again, the player has to agree, his club has to agree, etc. So very important to differentiate between all those two stages. So yes, Barcelona did track Greenwood for a while. Doesn't mean they were interested. So that's that. Anyways, that is all the news for today. And let's see. Fred says, we play in possession without end game, no movement from our midfield to create more space. Xavi need to play Lamine Yamal, Ferran Torres, and Joao Felix to see if it will work. Like I said, my friend, without any structure in place, doesn't matter who you play, which combination of players who you play. It doesn't mean who you sign. It doesn't matter who you sign. It's just the results are going to be the same, right? The team, once they cross the midfield, they're completely clueless on what to do. They have no structure to attack. They have no structure to create any kind of chances. They have no idea what to do once they cross the midfield. And that's because there's no system of play in place, which is Xavi's job. So it doesn't matter which combination of attackers you play, whether it's Lamine, Ferran, Lewandowski, Joao, Guiu, Vitor Roque. Doesn't matter who you sign. You can bring Haaland and Mbappe. The results are still going to be the same. We might score a few more goals here and there. We might have a few more victories here and there. We might gain a little more points here and there in La Liga, but the results is going to be the same. It's going to be a highly disorganized and unstructured team that gets by on individualities and individual talents. And we've seen that all season. And there are no signs of improvements. We take one step back and then we take one step forward and then 10 steps back. We did good against Real Betis, and then we do that today, right? And we had done already good against Real Betis at the beginning of the season, right? We scored 5 goals, and then we did Antwerp, which we also scored 5 goals, and then from there it was just dive. And then we had like one good match here and there, and then dive. Then one good match again, and then dive. And it's like at this point, there's obviously no signs of improvement. So it's time to part ways. And if people want to come up with excuses for Xavi, it's the players, he didn't get his signings. then at this point it's their personal problem, because they either are not capable of seeing what's going on because they lack the analytical abilities or whatever it may be, or they simply don't want to see it and they're just lying to themselves. But either way, at this point, that's their personal problem, not mine. KF says Greenwood will not come to Barca according to Fatmir Halimski. Most of the board members don't want him in the club. Yeah, like I said, that's why I saw this news, and that's why I left it to the end, because I saw like a lot of media outlets talking about it. Greenwood to Barca because he instructed his agent, but Barca had an initial kind of interest. They tracked him for a little bit, but they decided, nothing grew out of that tracking. All right, one more, and then we will end it. Shohan says, I have to disagree with your statement. Barca play like 2-3-5 on attack and talk within. All right, cool. Anyways, thank you all for tuning in, for your comments, for your likes, for your subscriptions. This is all the news for today. 2 back-to-back live streams, the post-match live analysis, and now the podcast. I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm exhausted. I'm going to shower. I'm going to go to sleep. Tomorrow will be a better day. And as always, no matter how our team does, Viscarce.